The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire Regis to my Kathy Lee, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
I am doing bad, Garrett. Not Corey bad, obviously.
Bold statements right up top. What's got you so down, friend?
This week we have been listening to Vanilla Ice's third and objectively best album, his crossover into nu metal, Hard to Swallow, released October 20th, 1998.
Just when America had finally put to bed the entire saga that was Vanilla Ice, he came roaring back for just a moment to bring us this classic album. And Tim, after a week of listening to it nonstop, I asked the question, do you hate this album?
Yes, this sucks.
No hesitation whatsoever, huh?
Nope. I have listened to this enough times. I am very confident.
What do you think your listening total was?
At least 10.
Okay. I think I only hit 8.
Oh, so you probably love it. I loved it through 8. It wasn't until 9 and 10 that I really just got fucking tired of this garbage.
You loved it through 8.
So let me ask you, Garrett, do you hate this?
God, you make it hard to answer now after everything you just said. Tim, as of right now, when you ask me this very moment, if I have to give you a response before we've even had a chance to hit the song by song, I would say no.
Really? Interesting.
I can't hate it. And we'll get into the hows and the whys of it. But before we do, I have to ask you, Tim, is this the very first time you have had your icing vanillaed?
I don't have a lot of history with this. I missed the whole Ice Baby thing with not living in the US and also being 4 at the time. But I am familiar with that song, as pretty much everybody is. Vanilla Ice, and specifically this album, seems to be popular among our listeners. This was suggested probably 6 or 7 times, most notably Austin Counts, Mike McVeigh, and Bradley Brown, who really seem to hate us. So fuck those people.
You and I enjoy this show almost exclusively for the sheer fact that we know the other person is suffering every week. But without actually knowing these folks, merely interacting with them through this show, they too have found joy in our suffering.
Yes.
And that's a true connection. So I am both pleased and dismayed by the construct of our show.
I am going to guess that your history is very different than mine, though. So tell me, friend, is this the first time you've gotten a little vanilla in your ice?
Well, certainly not. I did have the single. I want to keep in mind, I was very young. So Tim, you were, would you say 4?
Yep.
So I was 6.
Not true, but okay, we'll pretend.
It's 100% true. I got my hands on this single. I believe I took it from Gregory Hundemer's sister, Jennifer, I'm sorry, but I don't regret it, because I played this thing till it broke, literally. And then I had to record another copy of it off of the radio. And that, Tim, began a love affair that I had with creating my very own radio shows. It's 100% true, because I realized that I could edit myself into the tapes so that I did the commercial reads between the songs. It's weird I started with the commercials. Anyway, the point is, first, of course, my introduction was Ice Baby, like the rest of the world, but because of the age that I also was a huge fan, sort of the hit Ninja Rap from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Well, sure, of course. You know what? That's a great song. It's something that if you were a turtle, you could burst into the room and instantly be able to synchronize your dance moves and fighting to the beat of that song. We're not here to disparage Ninja Rap.
I would challenge anyone to even attempt to.
Can't be done.
No, it's such a universally appealing song that no matter your species, you will immediately be able to join together in a tightly choreographed dance sequence without ever having discussed or rehearsed that sequence. While, as you pointed out, you have a fight with a baby wolf and baby snapping turtle.
Yes.
The babies!
They were babies.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah, just like the Cloverfield monster. It was a baby.
Makes them more dangerous. We all know about the wily baby rattlesnake. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, Tim, I might have just saved your life. The baby rattlesnake oftentimes is more dangerous because his lack of experience leads him to completely empty his venom sacs rather than merely use enough to either deter or kill prey of your size. So it can often be more difficult to survive a baby rattlesnake poisoning because they just unload.
Like a younger Garrett.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I know to only use a bit of my poison.
Whoa, I meant your venomous words.
Oh.
Do you have a poison sac? And hold on,
not internal.
Follow-up question. May I see it?
No, nobody gets to see the sac. And I do want to be clear, it's not in me. It's just a sac that's filled with poison.
Various poisons or?
No, one specific one.
Okay.
My signature poison.
Okay. Polonium 293, 239, something to that effect.
Polonium 238, I think.
Okay.
But that's not what I have. I would have to be a lead sac. Otherwise, my adult bits would be, sad and empty.
All right.
Full disclosure, I loved Vanilla Ice. I loved this song. I sung and danced to this quite a bit as a child. I was sad the day Jim Carrey made fun of Vanilla Ice on In Living Color, and that's when I officially knew it was over for him. And I was sad with every attempt after Ice Ice Baby and Ninja Rap.
So up until what age would you say you were a diehard icer?
About 11 months into 1990 was peak Ice for me. I was a little skeptical in that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 because I think it was Play That Funky Music.
We'll get there. That was the original A-side to Ice Ice Baby.
Right, but I was of an age that even I recognized that and was like, well, this feels a little bit like hamstrung, but I still liked it. I like those turtles. I like it now, Tim. I own that movie.
What age would you say you were whenever you got off the ice train?
Define off.
Okay, so current day Garrett loves Ice Ice Baby and early Vanilla Ice. I think we've answered that question.
Pretty much. Oh, you don't love it. You just know it. Yeah, I love it. Tim, that's my history. That's your history. More importantly, what is Robert's history?
Robert Matthew Van Winkle, who is obviously better known to the world as Vanilla Ice, Ice, or simply the V-Man, was born in Dallas on Halloween 1967. He had kind of a rocky childhood. He never met his real father, and so went by his stepfather's last name. His mom and stepdad got a divorce whenever he was 4. His mom remarried a guy who worked in Miami at a car dealership, so he essentially lived back and forth between Dallas and Miami off and on, depending on parents' work status.
That was so unclear to me. I tried very hard to understand what that means, because most jobs you go to and you continue to go to, and then you go to some more. But the way the internet describes it, it's like sometimes you sell cars in Miami and then you're in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty simple.
Depending on when people are buying cars.
It's like migratory birds, so sometimes the people that are buying cars are in Dallas and sometimes they're in Miami.
There's no way.
Can you think of a better explanation? Of course not. We're going with the bird theory.
Bird theory wins again.
He had an early interest in hip-hop and breakdancing with mostly black people who nicknamed him Vanilla because of the color of his skin and because they were racists.
You think that's racist?
Yes.
Was it racist then?
I mean, it was probably still racist. It was just accepted. He started rapping at parties and his friends started calling him MC Vanilla. In his breakdancing troupe, he had a signature move called the Ice. So eventually he became Vanilla Ice. At age 16, he wrote the first draft of Ice Ice Baby. Then he dropped out of high school. He wanted to spend more time rapping and breakdancing and also riding dirt bikes. In 1985, he was more focused on the dirt biking and he won 3 motocross championships and then he broke his ankle. Now, while his ankle was broken, he wisely decided to use the time off from motocross to work on his dance moves because apparently dancing is less ankle-centric than riding a dirt bike. I don't understand how that works.
Maybe he was just simply studying, Tim.
The V-Man would go on to become a Dallas street/mall performer. He would beatbox and breakdance for change. He was dared to do an open mic at a place called City Lights in Dallas by his friend Squirrel. But I want to say fuck Squirrel because without that guy, we would not have had to listen to this album this week.
Yeah, but then we never would have gotten Ice Ice Baby and I'd be sad.
Yeah, so there's 3 bonuses. No Hard to Swallow, no Ice Ice Baby, Sad Garrett. All positives.
Listeners, I want to know, am I the only one that truly loves Ice Ice Baby, or is it just that Tim's a sour sad sack that grew up in the house of Saud, so he doesn't understand the beauty and simplicity of that song?
Yes, and we should say, when answering that question, did you love it non-ironically? Because that's important.
Yes.
Van Eye did well at City Lights and became a regular at that club. He opened for Paula Abdul, MC Hammer, Sinbad, NWA, Public Enemy, etc.
God, Sinbad's been doing the damn thing for like 40 years.
Yeah, and he's still at the top of his game.
He is on a hit television show on a network I can't recall.
Yeah, Sinbad is my Vanilla Ice, I think. Anyway.
Wait, you can't just say that and move on. There's no way you have the same connection to Sinbad as I do Vanilla Ice. Name one thing Sinbad is in.
Stand-up.
No, that
counts. That's where I saw him. In the 80s, I would frequent stand-up clubs, and I followed Sinbad around the country. We're getting off topic. In 1987, Vanilla was stabbed 5 times outside of City Lights by a Good Samaritan. To be clear, this was a legitimate stabbing. He went to the hospital. This is not a Corey Feldman fake stabbing situation.
Right. There were actual stab wounds. Blood was present, and holes were found.
Yes.
I don't know, officer. I got stabbed, but I seem to have healed. Angels, behold the majesty under the halo. I do a good Feldman.
You do. Eventually, Mr. Ice would sign a contract with Tommy Kwan, the owner of City Lights, as his manager. And for the next 2 years, he would go on to record some of the songs that he'd been working on, including Play That Funky Music and Ice Ice Baby. After hearing the full glory of Ice Ice Baby, Suge Knight repeatedly harassed and intimidated Mr. Ice until he finally took him out on a hotel balcony in LA with some of the LA Rams football players and told Vanilla he would throw him off the balcony unless he got the rights to the song, allegedly. And that's how Death Row Records was founded and initially financed.
Which is so crazy and not terrifically disputed.
Mr. Knight doesn't really have anything to lose. He's currently serving a 28-year prison sentence for manslaughter in a 2018 hit and run.
God, did you see that video?
No.
Oh my God. I don't want to ruin anybody's day, but he just straight up runs a dude over in a Ford Raptor, I think.
It's an odd choice for him.
Yeah, I thought so too. He's trying to get into a parking lot or leave a parking lot. I don't quite remember, but he's not, just driving around. He's stationary. And then I'm in my car. You're saying some shit I don't like and you're not in a car. Car beats body.
Yep, every time. Good news, if you like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, or Tupac, you kind of have Ice Ice Baby to thank.
Kinda.
After this little incident, Vanilla signed to SBK Records in 1990 and he re-recorded his music for the album To The Extreme. To The Extreme became the fastest selling hippity-hop album of all time. It spent 16 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 200. A septuple platinum in the US, it sold over 11 million copies worldwide, and it hit number 4 on the Zima Zimbabwean albums charts, which I think is a pretty goddamn good accomplishment.
It's not. Where did you even find this information?
The internet, Garrett. Most of our artists don't chart in Zimbabwe. He did, if you're wondering, make it to number 17 on the Dutch mega charts.
That's not what my next question was going to be at all. I've asked you repeatedly to leave the Dutch out of this.
I won't. We have so many Dutch listeners. We have tons of people that enjoy this information. That is not disputable. I have the emails to prove it. Anyway.
You don't know where it is. You don't even know how to log into the website to see how many downloads we have. So you couldn't even look at the country that you can't name, where the Dutch people are. Don't say Dutchland.
Then I am out of guesses. To the Extreme was the 20th best-selling album of the 90s, and the single Ice Ice Baby sold millions of copies in the US. That would be the last success of his career, but it is a big one.
Did he ever get the publishing rights back from Suge Knight?
I don't think so. I think it's at least partially owned by Suge Knight. He also dated Madonna for about 8 months of 1990 and had a 12-inch doll of him made, I guess, to sell at toy stores. Did you have that?
I did. No. My parents weren't going to buy shit like that, but I do remember it.
Did you steal it from somebody, perhaps? Hide it under your bed, troubling your father?
Goddamn doll under his bed.
Yeah, and where did its pants go? Why is this doll not wearing pants? Why does my 23-year-old son, who's still living at home, have this? What is happening? This is not the son I raised. He also performed on SNL. As you mentioned, he appeared as himself performing ninja rap in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of the Ooze, which is, again, as we all know, Garrett's second favorite Ninja Turtle movie after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
You fucker. You know it's 1. Nobody likes 3.
You love 3, and you're right too, Garrett. They go to feudal Japan. They portray it flawlessly too, which I think is the most impressive part. They really did the research.
They do a better job than that Last Samurai. Tom Cruise, talking to you. Lacks historical authenticity. See TMNT 3. But no, Tim, 1 is the best. Saying 3 is best is like saying Back to the Future 3 is the best. Okay, you rank them right now.
What do I think they are?
The original 3 Turtle movies. Yeah.
I think probably 1, 2, 3. My point is that you disagree with that. Yours goes 3, 2, 1.
I like to agree with you as much as possible, but it does not go 3, 2, 1. It definitely goes 1, 2, 3.
Right, that's what I think.
You're a fucking bastard. Go ahead.
A Vanilla Ice biography got released around this time without his knowledge or input and included just a ton of fake information. There was a lawsuit about that.
Courtesy of his record label.
In 1991, a live album, Extremely Live, is released to poor sales. It only made it to number 30 on the Billboard 200.
What's interesting, boy, I better point it out here, Tim, because it's going to lay the bedrock for my argument as to why you may not be allowed to hate this album. The next album he releases after The Hit is a live album. Now, I did some digging on this live album, and the content of which one of the biggest complaints is because it's a live album, there are long sequences where it's just sporadic drumming and cheering. So the listener has no idea what's happening. If you're there, you are watching him do a very intricate dance sequence with a number of other dancers who trade off while he goes in the back and gets water or takes a leak or whatever. But if you're listening, that's a horrible album.
That's actually interesting. I was unaware of that, and it makes the next thing make a lot more sense. Entertainment Weekly compared it to the best of Marcel Marceau, famous French mime, which is an audio album that consists of brief audience applause and then 40 minutes of silence as he mimes his way around. That comparison is funnier than anything either of us will ever say on this show. Well done, yeah. Entertainment Weekly. Also in 1991, musical comedy and financial and critical failure, Cool as Ice, is released with him as the lead. He got a Golden Raspberry for that.
My dream, Tim, is to incorporate, maybe if I say it on here, we will be forced into starting to do it. My dream is to begin tying in companion special edition bonus episodes to tackle things like Cold as Ice, because I don't think it should stop here.
I am fully on board. The only problem is we're going to have to do Toby Keith's Beer for My Horses first.
There's no rules about the order here, man.
We're doing it first.
Why?
Because I want to see it, Garrett. I want to know why somebody would have recorded it on their DVR 40-something times.
Because they're 80.
In 1992, he tours widely and premieres some new songs. He also becomes the spokesman for Nike and Coca-Cola. Then in 1993, he performs in St. Petersburg for Boris Yeltsin. And then he takes a break from music to compete in motocross and jet ski competitions.
Very strange.
1994, he gets really into Rastafarianism and grows dreadlocks, and then releases his second album, Mind Blowin'. He begins using cocaine, ecstasy, and heroin pretty heavily, and allegedly attempts suicide with a heroin overdose in 1994. Ice decides to turn over a new leaf and celebrates by getting a tattoo of a leaf on his stomach. Get it?
Okay, let's pause there. So he has that hit album come out. Couldn't have gone better, right? Then he tours on that album for 3 years. That's way too long. I want to say back then, at that point in the music industry, you made your money on album sales, not on touring. You also made money on touring. In that time, over that 3-year span, he also releases the live album, which people really fucking hate because, as we pointed out, large segments where nothing's really happening and it's impromptu stage banter that should have been edited out. Can't imagine that Robert is terribly witty. Then he takes a bunch of time off to do some jet ski races and motocross, which, hey, good on ya, I get it. But by then, the cultural landscape has shifted and he's not paying attention to it. He's morphed as an artist as well, getting deep into Rastafarian, which is never a great idea if you're a white guy, especially if you're a Van Winkle white guy. But he does it anyway, and it doesn't go great. Big shock there. But simultaneously, he doesn't realize that in his absence, we've moved on. We're over it, bud. The parachute pants are gone. We're hardcore into gangster rap. Actually, we're in the weird valley of despair between the introduction of Rage Against the Machine and then when the rest of nu metal hits, which I can't explain that chasm.
In 1995, Mr. Ice toured a bit more, and then he went back to Florida for more jet skiing and actually became the 6th best ranked sit-down jet ski racer in the world.
What a terrifically mismanaged career.
He probably doesn't have a lot to say after that first album, but you have to have some sort of follow-up. You have a bunch of songs, extra songs for him to do, and you put something else out there while he's dicking around.
Right, because we all agree that none of it is terribly heavy on the content, so why in God's name would you release a live album that's poorly edited, allow him to dick around on a motocross for how many years and jet skis, there's a lucrative future, only to come back and play this Rastafarian nonsense that he wrote himself, rather than just get somebody in there and be like, hey, so this is Snoop Dogg. We paid him a whole bunch of money, and you guys are about to make even more. Enjoy.
But, I mean, your description of his career at this point is accurate. He studied real estate and sold houses in Miami for a bit, blew all that sweet to the extreme money.
Do you think that's true? By then he'd already run out of money?
Idea. I don't know. God. He also set up a Miami recording studio and joined the grunge band Pickin' Scabs. But they weren't really right for the new sound he was cultivating. They couldn't really do rap rock. And that is when Ross Robinson comes into the picture. Now, Ross Robinson, we've talked about him before. He's the new metal innovator and producer. They came together because they were both motocross fans, so apparently that did in fact pay off. He is the guy that found and produced the first couple of Korn records, the first Limp Bizkit album, Deftones. He produced the album of the week, Hard to Swallow. After being advised against working with Vanilla Ice, he's quoted as saying, "People kept saying to me, it might hurt your name, it might hurt your reputation. I said that I'm doing it. It's the most punk rock thing you could do."
Disagree.
Vanilla Ice also originally publicly claimed that both Lenny Kravitz and members of Korn would be featured on this album, which just turned out to be nonsense. Oof. But he does release this album in 1998 and toured to a somewhat new audience. In 2000, he wrestled for Juggalo Champion Shit Wrestling.
Oh, so he's got an ICP link.
A lot of them, Garrett. He was filling in for Shaggy 2 Dope, who had injured himself while wrestling. In 2001, he performed at the Gathering of the Juggalos, and then he released Bipolar, his fourth album, which was, as you'd expect, universally panned. His music career's not going well, but maybe TV's the thing for him. 2002, he does Celebrity Boxing. 2003, he appeared on Hollywood Squares, The Farm, and Celebrity Bull Riding Challenge. In 2004, he appeared on The Real Life. In 2005, he released his fifth album, Platinum Underground, which was not platinum and universally panned by critics. And then in 2008, he signs to Cleopatra Records and does a cover album called Vanilla Ice is Back, which was panned by critics. He did a few joint performances that same year with MC Hammer under the name Hammer Pants and Ice, which I find delightful.
Good for him.
Yeah. In 2010 and then again 2012 to 2018, he did a reality show in which he renovates houses called the Vanilla Ice Project.
12 to 18?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it ended last year. In 2011, he was on Dancing on Ice, and then he performed at the Gathering of Juggalos again. Then he signs to Psychopathic Records and releases a semi-electronic album called WTF. Then he plays Captain Hook in an English production of Peter Pan, taking over for Henry Winkler. God, I wish we had seen that. That would have been amazing.
I'll take either version.
Yeah, both are delightful.
So is he using a British accent?
I'm not sure.
Although this, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, Tim, but we do have evidence that Mr. Ice does have a bit of experience switching between certain, shall we say, patois. Did you pick up on this a little bit in the videos?
Yep. In 2013, he appeared on the New Kids on the Block / Boys to Men tour, and then he performs at a Houston Texans halftime show, after which multiple players would go on to blame him after they lost the next 14 games straight.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. In 2015, he played Mark Twain in Adam Sandler's Ridiculous Six.
Oof.
2016, he's featured on Dancing with the Stars. 2017, he performed at the Juggalo March on Washington.
Does he paint up, do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I don't think you have to go full clown to be down with the clown.
Well, no. I mean, especially if you're a performing artist. I think if you're in the crowd, they might have different rules.
Imagine like Joe Biden clowned up.
Hilarious. That would be great.
ICP Biden, ICP Reagan. I believe in the message of family. Oh, George H.W.
I think George W. Bush fits better.
How do magnets work?
Yeah, every part of it fits. We're getting to the end of history here, and I'd like to mention a few rapid-fire legal issues that he has had.
We may have to have a new segment called the Rap Sheet.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes will lead well into general thoughts. In 1988, he's arrested for drag racing in Dallas. 1991, he's arrested for threatening a homeless guy in Los Angeles with a gun. In 2001, he's arrested in Florida for assaulting his wife. 2004, he's not arrested, but he is fined after his pet wallaroo and goat escape his house and hang out in the neighborhood for about a week.
What's a wallaroo?
It's halfway between a wallaby and a kangaroo. I think that it is a separate species consisting of about 4 subspecies. I do not think it is somebody that forced a wallaby and a kangaroo to bang.
Excellent definition. You really answered a lot of my follow-up questions. What is a wallaby?
I'll send you some pictures.
Okay.
In 2008, he's arrested in Florida again for assaulting his wife. And then in 2015, he's arrested for burglary and grand theft after stealing a bunch of stuff from a Florida house he claimed, quoting him here, believed to be vacant.
That doesn't make it legal.
And, of course, his most famous legal battles against Queen and David Bowie for his theft of the bass line from Under Pressure for Ice Ice Baby. He claimed that he added a single extra note and that made it okay. The result of that lawsuit ended with both Queen and David Bowie getting co-writing credit on the song. Then in 2017, he claimed that he now owns the rights to Under Pressure. He said that buying the rights to the song was actually cheaper than any lawsuit or giving them any other money.
I don't think that's true.
Probably not.
I want to look that up later. God, I wish we had a producer that could do real-time fact-checking, but our latest producer, Gino, he's not much of a multitasker. I don't know if he's going to last. Anything else for the history, Tim?
Nope.
What do you think of this album? Why do you hate it?
I honestly think we could stop with me saying this is Vanilla Ice going nu metal. I think that sums up what this is.
I think that's a very ignorant stance.
So do you think he's a good rappist or a competent rappist?
Oh, to quote many girls I asked out in high school. Oh, yeah, no. He nailed it with Ice Ice Baby. That song is supposed to be about a drug run gone awry that ends in a drive-by shooting. I know every word of that song, and that still doesn't sound right to me. And that's the high point, so it only gets worse from there. However, okay, I don't even know where to begin here, Tim, because I'm going to try to defend this album. I want to know, what were other hit songs when this came out? This came out in 1998, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Billboard Top 200, 1998.
This is Gino's fault, by the way. We should have it pulled up for us as we're saying it.
Yeah, he's Italian.
Oh.
That's what it is. He's Sicilian or something.
Same bullshit. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Same basic area, but he's got that, I don't know how the internet work.
How old is he?
Don't yell at me. I'm not a Brad.
Did you figure out how old he was?
I think he's 71.
He's remarkably old.
Yeah, but if you scream push-ups, Gino push-ups, he can do 100 in a row.
Gino, push up!
Look at him go!
Yeah, he's a fucking animal. I will say this, he is a lot less resilient post-caning than Brad was.
Oh yeah, no, it takes days for those bruises to heal. And the whole time he's screaming at you in that language.
Italian is a very beautiful language, but not always.
We hate it.
It hurts us even more than it hurts him. No, that's not right.
No, it definitely hurts him. Like with Brad, sometimes he'd laugh, and I don't know if he was serious or trying to get us to stop, but with Gino, I feel terrible. But listen, folks, before you get on your high horse, they chose to unionize. These are the terms. We gave them multiple opportunities to change it, maybe a few less sick days.
Yeah, they wanted that dental plan.
Yeah, so okay, great. Platinum dental plans for everyone. If you fuck up, you get a caning, despite being a septuagenarian who claims, by the way, on his paperwork that he is no older than, 29?
That's
31,
not true. That's not true. Every hair on his head is white.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, in May of 1998. Number 2, Celine Dion, Let's Talk About Love. Number 3, City of Angels soundtrack. That's basically just the Goo Goo Dolls. What was the one for that one? Savage Garden, Backstreet Boys, Casey and JoJo, Madonna, Ray of Light.
I take your point. A lot of bad music came out this year, but I will counter that with Beck Mutations.
Ooh,
right? There's
God.
just because other people are making garbage doesn't mean you also have to make garbage.
I get it. I guess I'm trying not to hate it. He's giving me a lot of reasons to hate it. It is competent new metal. Can we say that?
So the musicians for this, there's Bloodhound Gang vocalist, a guitarist from a band called Snot, Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. His brother is playing keyboards, drummer from Amen and Godsmack, and then record scratching by DJ Swamp, plus a couple of other guys. Yeah, I mean, it's an all-star crew. I will say, I like what the drummer does on a number of these songs. He's talented.
Absolutely.
But a lot of these songs have these extended bad musical interludes or outros. Oftentimes they're just record scratch solos, and god damn it, Garrett, it was so hard to not fast forward through those.
The album could have easily been 9 minutes shorter. Here's the problem. Yes, I do hate it to some degree, but I think you need to understand. So I'm going to try to use an analogy I don't know if you're going to be able to follow. Can you think of somebody who, like, you're really good friends with? Like, do you have a really good friend?
I do.
Okay. Are they real?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
What if on our show, I just forced you to tell me you hate that really good friend? That'd be really hard for you, right?
No, not at all. I do that almost every show.
Oh, okay. I think I see. I understand now. No, we are not really good friends.
Oh, what?
Define friendship.
I mean, now I feel embarrassed.
You should. You should be embarrassed. You mistook a working relationship with friendship just because we share a lease.
I mean, you lose friends fast when you spray paint their beds, I guess.
No. This is why I wanted to put in a punch-in clock at the house. It just make it feel more official.
Our listeners love numbers and statistics, and I've got some numbers for you. There are 13 tracks, 11 of which are songs. I went through and I counted at least 72 like or as comparisons. Again, for our number-obsessed audience, that's 6.55 plus or minus 1.76 similes per song. And I know it's a fairly common crutch for rapists to use similes, but 72 seems so egregious.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't have an average simile count on hand, but we may start keeping track of one, although I don't know that we can depend on Gino to do it. I don't know numbers.
You know, I will say he did great on those push-ups.
Oh yeah, sweaty as could be. Gino, get some water, buddy. Your face is red. My goodness, I can't have him dying here. I don't think our insurance covers it. So let's just get into it, Tim. It's the best way to really explain ourselves. Track number 1, Living.
Living starts off with something I would never have guessed we would hear again on one of our albums. Shitty, knockoff, J-Devil, Gremlins-y phlegm scatting.
What? I didn't hear any phlegm scatting.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's the pirate scatting.
So I thought of Down with the Sickness.
Oh, yeah, that's true. When the guitars kick in, to me it's indistinguishable from Korn. It has that same bass-heavy guitar sound.
I was driven crazy for the whole week until today as to what this song reminds me of when either, I don't know if bass or drum, boom, boom, ding, ding, and I couldn't figure out what that is until today. My name is Mud, Primus.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Mud. In that case, it's actually bass.
As everything
it drove me
with
nuts.
Mr. Claypool is. The interesting thing about that first part of the song is that it's entirely recycled from a 1994 Vanilla Ice song, Wraith. Iceman coming with a dope hit, cause a few suckers need their throat slit. Jealous cause I went multi-platinum. Now I'm gonna blast them in the head till they're dead with my magnum.
He is now slitting throats and popping caps with a magnum. I want to say that the throat slitting and magnum popping is metaphorical, because he does say his words are his weapon or something to that effect.
He describes himself as a vocal hitman, and then it kind of doubles as a diss track to the band Third Base. I don't know. I had to read that on the internet.
The point is that they are referenced in this song because they shot a music video, Pop Goes the Weasel, where they mock him as being, commercial and lying on his autobiography that was put out by his studio, not him. Then they beat the shit out of him with fake baseball bats in the video. And so this is him striking back, saying, going to strike back with my words because he's a lyrical, what is he? Some sort of lyrical assassin?
He's a vocal hitman, I believe.
Vocal hitman.
Brothers didn't like your record because it wasn't hip-hop. But this ain't a diss because you sold gold. Still, I made a killin' and it ain't even a 10 to 11 million.
Seems like he's got a pretty good perspective on it. All right, Tim, I know this is going to go nowhere, but I'm going to ask. And if you have an answer, I'm going to be shocked. I don't understand the hook at all. I'm going to read it very slowly for everybody to hear. And if you know what he's saying, please explain it. Why is that I disperse? Why does God shun? Why does my man try to run my actions? What?
You know, I'd love to be able to help you, but it's nonsense. It is not phrased in a way that a native speaker of the English language would phrase anything.
We come up with some pretty specific answers to difficult questions nobody knew to ask, but this is a pretty surface one. What's the song mean? Why is that I disperse? Why does God shun?
Well, I get the second one. Having been shunned by God, I understand.
Sure.
That.
Why does my man try to run my actions? And then there's a lot of background screaming.
Yes, that's kind of a theme throughout this album. Somebody is being murdered in the studio while he's recording this, and they didn't shut the door or something. I assume you were thrilled with the record scratches.
Oh yeah, I love them. Tim, I want to go on the record. I have no issue with record scratches. I like it when we hit a track that is only record scratches. I'm here in the studio knowing that you're at home, potentially breaking yet another phone, blaming it wrongly for listening to that song that has record scratches in it.
I'm not sure how you say wrongly. The sounds are coming from my phone, correct?
Right, but you told it to do that.
Well, I would argue Vanilla Ice told it to do that.
You would lose that argument. Track number 2, Scars. I began to wonder if this could be an emotionally revealing album. He sings, reality sucks, too much pain. I can't explain why I want to bash brains. He can't deal with his internal angst, Tim. Life now blows for a man formerly calling himself Vanilla Ice and with no other option than to go back to Robert Van Winkle. Personally, I stick with Vanilla Ice. Did you ever see any of the appearances he did where he was then going by Ice?
No. I have not followed his career with the level of detail that you have, because you love him.
Yeah. Well,
in love with him? Is that the point?
Okay. No.
Okay.
I feel for the guy. I think that he had a good thing. He got mismanaged and could have at least had one more hit album.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. What I disagree with is you saying you don't hate this album, because this album is terrible.
Yeah, it's not great.
To me, he's saying the place that he has found himself in life sucks. However, he can't really act on that frustration because he has a kid and doesn't want to die.
Yes, I understand your swing up in intonation at the end of that sentence. The questioning is accurate. The writing is so clunky that it's hard to figure out, well, what does he mean by that? A lot of these lines feel like they were written from a contemplative Keanu Reeves character from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Here's a sample. But it's real hard to put it all behind me. It's like a tattoo frozen in a memory. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, there we go. Got you there.
He does seem to be dealing with a lot of pent-up rage and aggression from not only the severe fall from grace, the polyshoring, if you will, as well as the pretty unpleasant abuse of his childhood.
He does a J-Devil voice whenever he screams, "Father!" Although, now that I'm thinking about it in the context of the Keanu Reeves, he could also be doing a Keanu Reeves voice screaming
Yours
father.
sounded closer to Nick Cage.
Well,
Father, that's high praise.
This is the first song that you should really be able to cut like 2-3 minutes of this if you just got rid of that stupid repetitive outro. There seems to be a drum/record scratch off happening.
I'm glad you said that, Tim. My characterization is that it is a guitar solo in the middle that sort of resembles screaming, which then morphs into a full-on record scratch solo, which then combines with the guitars to take the form of a Dragula as he shouts, "True to my family."
Yes. And then, but those two things battle the drums, correct?
Yes, the entire time the drums are struggling to be heard above both guitar, record scratch, Dragula.
There's the lines, all these lies, these fucking lies. It tries to build, and that reminded me of a far worse Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, that won't be the last time one of us says that.
Nope.
I can promise you. Track number 3, Ecstasy.
This is 9 seconds of not a song, and I propose we skip it.
I will only say it seemed to be a decent representation of the drug based on the people I have seen on it. They all talk very, very quickly, they seem quite sweaty, and they do not recall anything that was said moments previously.
Given that this is a 9-second instrumental, I do not understand what you mean, but okay.
At times you can hear like a voice sped up to like a cassette tape played on high fast forward.
Okay. Track number 4, Fuck Me, featuring Casey Chaos.
Was Casey Chaos a positive influence on Mr. Ice?
It depends how you mean. Musically, no. However, lyrically, the first time I heard it, I thought that maybe he wrote an anti-Vanilla Ice song, because there's a lot of fuck Vanilla Ice in here.
Yes, there is.
And so my first thought was that maybe this is a Vanilla Ice song where he's taking the piss out of himself kind of thing.
Yeah, just mocking himself.
Yeah, but that's not really what this is.
Yeah, I have a very difficult time understanding what this is. At first I thought, like you, maybe he's mocking his old persona as a hip-hopist.
Which would have insulted you, right?
No, because I was 6, and I can understand that things that I enjoyed at a younger age are worthy of being mocked as I get older. Almost reliably.
Yeah, it's got about a 5-year turnaround time.
Yeah, every 5 years I can comfortably mock every possible aspect of the previous version of myself. Does that mean that no one is ever cool?
Yes, it does. Everything that you do currently, it will seem incredibly lame to you 5 years from now. Everything.
Is that universal or just me?
It is stronger with you, but it is pretty universal.
Does that make me ahead of the curve then? If it's stronger with me, that means I have a stronger inclination to update my
No,
general...
it's just you're slightly more embarrassing than the rest of us at any given moment. In hindsight, of course, not at the moment.
Gotcha. Okay, so he sings, "As I continue the journey to get your eardrums straight. Now pay attention to this flow, there's no reason to hate." Implying, Tim, and causing confusion for you and I, this song is not mocking himself, but in fact is a declaration of his return to both greatness and the music scene.
I agree with that so far.
It addresses all the folks that have done him wrong. Again, we have the record execs who are both phonies and suits, and much like Zedler, he cannot suffer suits.
Yes, he actually calls them phonies.
He uses the word phonies. Then he calls out not-so-famous rapper Chocolate. He says, "Like a phony, acting like you was my homie," years after anyone was using that word. Mm-hmm. "Like Genuine, you tried to ride me like a pony," which is my favorite line of the album. He is, of course, referencing Chocolate, who says he wrote the song Ice Ice Baby, and he did get some money, but did not get the rights for having written the song.
Well, he almost got Mr. Ice killed with that whole Suge Knight thing.
Right. He's a real son of a bitch.
There's a couple of other things. Fuck this bullshit, that fuck Vanilla Ice, he sucks, he eats shit. It almost sounded like kind of an attempt at that Korn song where he and Fred Durst made fun of each other for 4 painful minutes.
I think it's a less clear version. I think that's Casey Chaos playing the role of the typical Ice detractor.
Yeah, he's playing the Durst role.
Sure, if that's how you need to think about it.
It is.
Did you catch the Hall & Oates, "I can't go for that"?
No, I didn't.
"And never will I change a format, and now you know I can't go for that." I don't know exactly what that means other than he has changed genres from traditional hip-hop. Have we said that, Tim? This thing is wholeheartedly new metal. Is that obvious to everyone?
It is unabashedly, unashamedly new metal, and I mean, it should be ashamed, because that's...
Should it, though?
It should, yes.
What about among its new metal brethren?
So you're asking, do I think it is worse than, say, a Korn or an early Limp Bizkit? I do, and I think that because this is clearly ripping them off. Some of his rapping in this is very Dursty.
Yeah.
It is not like old Vanilla Ice.
Not at all. But my expectation was that it would be Dursty. It's rap rock, man. He's got to rock that rap. Do you think it was a bigger detriment for him to move into the Durst vocal range, or would it have been better for him to stay in the Vanilla Ice style of delivery?
I think you go with the original.
I think you're right. However, if you want to make money, I think he sounds no better or worse than a Fred Durst or a Mark McGrath.
Agreed.
So if he could have maybe gotten into that slot, because he was still in the right time frame, and maybe
definitely
he moves into the Fred Dursty role, and then you bring on, I guess this is probably what he tried to do, but didn't have the money or the juice, bring on good rappers and have them take on the more traditional hip-hop rap style, the truly good rapping.
He does do that in the last song.
Yeah, you're right, but I don't know the rappers very well, do you?
No. Track number 5, Valley of Tears.
Behind these words, there is still the longing to know God and to find protection.
I don't know why I was surprised that we had a spoken interlude on the album, but of course we do, right?
Yeah, this is also not a song. It sounds like somebody fucking around on a blues guitar in the background while somebody reads a 2-sentence monologue. The monologue is almost like somebody's trying to do a bad John Wayne impression.
A little bit. It reminds me kind of like the announcer from the beginning of that White Stripes song.
Little Acorns.
Little Acorns. It sounds like that guy, the beginning of Little Acorns. I have it. You want me to read it?
Sure.
There is little doubt that behind these words, there is still a longing to know God and to find protection in this valley of tears or this lousy, stinking world.
9 people wrote this song.
Wow. 9 people?
All these songs have 9 writers. I think they just gave credit to everybody.
I mean, unless you are in a band together, having a writer's room for music seems like a really bad idea. And 9's a lot, right?
It is.
Somebody has to be the Ringo.
I'm not the Ringo of this goddamn podcast.
How do you explain all those rings?
Okay, you know what? Might be the Ringo of this podcast. Also, I don't think you know who Ringo is.
He used to wear a bunch of rings. How do you think he got his name? Track number 6, Zigzag Stories, featuring the VIP Posse.
The lyrics remind me of Insane Clown Posse lyrics.
I think that they are more intelligent.
No, I don't. I mean, I think they're right on par. Just,
I mean, he references Dante Alighieri.
yeah, but then he rhymes him with ganje. He says
touche.
Dante Ganje. Yeah,
Yeah, he's getting high and discussing how it makes him super creative.
pretty much 3 or 4 stories of hilarious and interesting things that happened to him whenever he was smoking pot.
Sort of a vague reggae beat. My real issue is the words and the noises he's making.
Yes.
The hook sounds like a threat or possibly the first step in a sinister plan.
Lit up the chronic, and what did I see? This badass bitch creeping up on me. She had the look that could get the ice cooked up in a second. I pictured her undressing and getting butt naked. I disagree that these are more or less intelligent than ICP.
They questioned how magnets worked, Tim.
That's true. There's also no reason this needs to be 5.5 minutes.
It ends with a bunch of them coughing into a microphone. Who doesn't like a well-mic'd cough? Track number 7, Too Cold.
In his defense, in 1998, we were, in fact, all clamoring for a new metal version of Ice Ice Baby.
I know I was.
America was. And he gave it to us. And it's bad.
I would say...
He needed to be the adult in the situation and say, I know you want that. You're going to regret it. So you said you know this song, Ice Ice Baby, or Too Cold, essentially by heart, right?
Yes.
What the fuck do the 2 opening lines mean? All right, stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back. I got a brand new invention.
Yes.
So some questions. How does one stop, collaborate, and listen? I mean, this is a passive medium, correct? I don't know.
Maybe collaborate in listening?
Okay.
You didn't finish high school, Tim.
Okay. This might be sort of a... Was it Papa Roach where every line is just missing the last word?
I think so.
This might be a situation where it's just he's used the wrong word.
He used the word he wanted to use. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, regardless of the meaning. Ice is back. Back from what? This was his introduction. Was that line directed specifically at the small number of people that knew him from Dallas clubs? Who is this for?
Oh, it's just traditional hype, Tim. You gotta hype yourself in the rap game. It's psychological warfare, Tim. A lot of people in the audience are going, oh, you know what? I like this song. I don't want to admit that I don't know Ice. I guess he's back.
You know what? He might be a marketing genius.
Self-starter for sure.
Yeah. Did you love the chorus? It's Ice Ice Baby, but screamed.
I remembered him screaming much louder. I think that this song could have been a hit if you'd gotten it into more capable hands.
In the hands of a better producer?
Yes, a better producer and a writer. Keep Vanilla Ice, let him play the Durst role, okay? So he's full white guy rapping, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Which he's very capable of doing. And then you bring in a true hip-hop artist to write and perform their own segment in here that helps Ice to make fun of the person he used to be.
That would be better older, but again, I think if you're putting this in the context of 1998, Ross is the person you want. For better or worse, that guy knew and shaped the sound of the late 90s. And I mean, when I say for better or worse, I of course mean for worse. That doesn't seem like a bad call. I agree with having somebody else that's more capable of rapping on here.
Track number 8, Prozac.
Like the last song, this is a remake of one of his previous songs, or at least the first verse is. He was featured on 1996's Boom by Bloodhound Gang, and I guess since he sang on it, he has the rights to just remake it.
Which is weird, because the second verse is from a song he released in 94 called Oh My Gosh.
I did not pick up on that. I guess I am not as big a Vanilla Ice fan as you are.
What are you talking about? It means you didn't know how to read the dossier.
I
mean,
am
half of it's
bad.
in Italian, so... I don't know how to speak English. Oh, Gino. Has he come back from the restroom?
No. We'll finish the recording and then we'll go check on him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's fine. I am completely perplexed as to whether or not he is having sex or fighting in this song. He says, I'm all up in you till you just can't get enough. Seems fairly obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I sneak up on you like a sniper at your back door.
Still sex? What's your question?
That's a shame. I think that's what Julian Assange got charged with. Surprise sex.
Jesus.
It's in like Sweden or something. I don't know the particulars. Don't quote me on it. I'm not saying it. People are saying it, Tim.
We have heard people say that.
It might be referenced in this song. This song could be about Julian Assange.
It's not. I don't think he understands what Prozac is. Because he says, get crazy like Prozac, which, I mean, fluoxetine is an anti-crazy medication, right? Not a pro?
Right. And that's one of the ones that even if you're not crazy and you take it, it's not going to make you super crazy.
It does increase suicidal ideation for people under the age of 25, though, so watch out for that.
And that goes up exponentially every year below that, so.
Good facts, but fuck him for mental health shaming. Lena Dunham does not approve of that.
Absolutely not. And folks, we don't bring her up every episode. That's not the point of her being a part of this show. Lena still remains our moral guidepost for what is right and true and morally progressive in this complicated sexual political landscape. And you're right, Tim. She would not approve here. I noticed a line in here, and it was word to the mother. Now, word to the mother stood out to me because at the end of Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice says word to your mother. And I've been saying it for years because it makes me laugh. A lot of people don't get it.
Yeah, I have meant to ask you about that, so it's good we're getting this explanation.
Sure. So I didn't know where it came from. Turns out, and he says it in this song, word to the mother is an old school reference used among black people for like word to the motherland. Like, hey, respect to the homeland. Huh. And he co-opted the use.
As he does. It's kind of his
your
thing.
Mother, and made it appealing to the masses to the point where the original group who used the expression abandoned it.
Yeah, that seems to be the general white guy thing.
Yeah, they just take the coolest shit and ruin it.
We, Garrett, we are white guys.
Oh, right. Right. He does have, I don't know if you agree with this, the Eminem escalation growling a little bit in here.
Yes, he does.
Where he's just rhyming shit.
Mm-hmm.
Got some food and the chicken guy's rude. Suddenly I'm fighting this dude. So then he like throws in like weird random celebrities like Warren Beatty fucking lady's favorite cartoon is Muppet Babies. Topher Grace in outer space. I eat toast with Land O'Lakes.
I would love to hear your Eminem album.
I don't quite have it dialed in yet.
You'll get there.
When this album came out, he was a joke. He was a social pariah.
And I would say rightly so.
Of course you would, because you're a jerk. But in the right hands, he could have snuck in there and beaten Eminem to the legitimate white guy rap scene by being the slightly better rapper than Fred Durst in the new metal scene.
You know what I mean? He would have had to put a lot of work in and had a way better producer.
A way better producer for sure.
And writers.
And I think,
don't write your own music.
Oh yeah, he couldn't have written his own music. They would have had to go the Christina Aguilera route. Send him to like rapping school. That's got to exist, right?
Yes, it does.
If not, you should open a rapping school.
I can't. I've been to rapping school. I did not do well.
Rapping Academy? Rapping U?
No, it's rapping school.
Rapping State College?
No, it's not a university system, Garrett. It's literally an afternoon, and they took my money. I feel cheated, honestly.
Track number 9, Snafu.
Featuring Jimmy Pop Polly.
Well, let's get into what snafu means, right? Mm-hmm. Would you like to state it?
Situation normal, all fucked up.
Military slang.
I will admit, in the shower, I have been singing situation normal, all fucked up. I've been shouting that in my shower, so...
1 point Vanilla Ice. Mm-hmm. Tim 0. Tim, I went down a bizarre rabbit hole here, and did you stumble on to private snafu?
No.
Okay, I don't even know where to begin here. During World War II, Warner Brothers Animation, aka Looney Tunes, was commissioned by the U.S. Armed Forces to create a series of 26 instructional cartoons made by all of the people you and I love of those original Looney Tunes cartoons to help our new GIs understand the do's and don'ts of traveling abroad and being a forthright and proper soldier.
Why did they have to be cartoons?
Because they found that people paid attention to them way better, and it's far cheaper to make a bunch of cartoons than to pay actors.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Whatever.
Have Americans always been idiots?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good to know.
But we're bold. We have just enough ignorance to take the first step when no one else would dare do it. I watched an episode. I watched many episodes, but I would like to describe to you an episode of Private Snafu, if I may. Let me first paint the picture. It is, of course, black and white. The animation style is identical to Looney Tunes. The music is the exact same guys. And then here's the best part. The voice of Private Snafu, Bugs fucking Bunny. It's Mel Blanc.
That's awesome.
So, the point of the one that I would like to discuss today is about the importance of recognizing and avoiding booby traps. I'm not joking. So it's not an instructional video on how to recognize and avoid them. It's on the importance of recognizing and avoiding them. Well, they give you several examples, as I'm about to give you, of various booby traps and the different ways they may try to ensnare you. Okay. But I wouldn't say that you're gaining functional knowledge. All right. We open with Private Snafu in a very traditional gun out, soldier uniform, walking in the enemy territory when he stumbles upon a shower. And he's like, oh, wow, I haven't showered in days. That'd be delightful. And as he walks up to it to pull the cord to begin the spray of water, he notices a string tied to that pull-down shower mechanism, tied to a shotgun placed above his head, pointed directly down. And so... Oh, God, it sounds stupid, but I'm going to have to check my shower for this every goddamn day. You should. So then he keeps walking, and suddenly he's in a desert situation, and there is a camel with a sign that says, free, fresh, delicious milk. So he runs up to the camel and begins milking it, when suddenly he realizes the udders are not, in fact, actually udders, but those big undersea mines. I was really hoping you were going to say shotgun barrels. No. You know what I mean, though? Yeah. The big circles that have, like, the bumps or whatever. Yeah. He was pulling on the bumps. And then he realizes it and runs away. So next he passes a whorehouse. He goes into the whorehouse and starts playing a piano. As you do. And it turns into the old Looney Tunes gag where he's trying to play the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. He keeps hitting the wrong note. If he'd hit the right note, you can see there's a tiny trigger tied to TNT beneath the piano. But he never plays it accurately, and as he's trying to figure out how to play it properly, he gets distracted by a hookah. He jumps to the hookah sitting next to all the hot ladies and begins trying to light it, but before he's able to get the bowl lit, aka the fuse clearly sticking out of the bowl to the bomb that's inside the hookah, he gets distracted by a fake woman. He grabs the fake woman by the ass without ever asking her name, only to realize later that her cheeks are made up of two classic, perfectly round, black, like bombs. And he's like, something weird's going on here. He goes back around to the front to check out what's going on, and that's when her bra falls off, and it reveals two more of those giant big bombs are her boobs. But it was sexy, right? Like it was pretty sexy. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So you realize that the whole whorehouse is just a giant murder house. So he starts running through it and blades are dropping out of ceilings. So this is going to be what our GIs are going to have to face whenever they go to World War II. Yeah, well, it's going to get weirder. Just a moment. He finally stops to catch his breath. Well, then a cuckoo clock goes off next to his head. And instead of it being a cuckoo bird, it's a tiny Hitler. And the tiny Hitler... A tiny sentient Hitler or a Hitler statue? Well, you think it's a statue only to learn it's sentient later. When tiny Hitler comes out of the cuckoo clock, he then whispers into the GI's ear. And the guy goes, oh yeah, now I remember. And he runs to the piano to play that tune he couldn't think of properly earlier. He successfully plays it, blows himself up, and we next see him in heaven. And he goes, oh well, at least I don't have to worry about booby traps. And then with his harp, he begins to play the same tune tune again.
I was assuming there were going to be booby traps in heaven as well.
Yeah,
Kind of an
the
ironic
implication
twist.
is that he's about to blow up in heaven. That's one of 26.
So Snafu, the song.
Right, this is a song, right?
Yeah. He says, won't stop till I'm back at multi-platinum.
Yeah, he has lofty goals.
It's sad, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a second Hall & Oates reference. He says, let the whole world know I can't go for that.
I don't know why this is like 5 minutes long.
The last 2 minutes are the hook and record scratch solos intermittently. For 2 minutes.
Yep.
We don't need that.
I mean, I don't need that. You seem to like it. Track number 10, ADD, featuring Casey Chaos.
Tim, when I say Casey, you think...
Chaos.
No. I appreciate you playing along, friend. You are a great co-host. But no, I mean, honestly, when I say Casey, you think...
Kasem?
I'm Casey Chaos.
There's a lot of whisper-sung nonsense on this song, and I just want to say, fuck that.
I thought you'd love it for all the whisper singing.
No, it's too much, and it's bad whisper singing. It's also
2 straight minutes of like a bad poem just read to music.
Yes. It sounds like a poor attempt to rip off Rage Against the Machine's Take the Power Back with the whispered vocals and then loud music. It kind of has that no more lies, no more lies. He kind of fucks up the buildup.
Of course he does.
You do get that ugh at the end of that. Yep.
I couldn't tell if he was singing about his inability to escape his own poor choices in life or being Vanilla Ice and what that meant culturally.
I mean, first one, then the other.
Classic answer. Can't it be both?
I do have a what does this mean? Islands of fire keep me alive.
Maybe he's a Hawaii enthusiast and he's referring to lava, magma.
Well, right, but typically lava kills people, if movies are to be believed.
Well, no, it's cooled now, but they are the Islands of Fire. They were forged of fire.
I don't think he's from Hawaii.
I'm not saying he's from Hawaii, Tim. We all know where he's from.
Yes, Dallas.
I don't know, Tim.
It doesn't
Maybe he
mean
just
anything.
made it up. It's over 5 minutes long, and I couldn't stand this song so late in the album.
Track number 11, Stompin' Through the Bayou.
Very important question here. Is this the sample?
So I thought it was, again, the sample you're referring to, the Winston's Amen Brothers sample, or possibly Funky Drummer from James
Funky
Brown.
Drummer.
I did a shit ton of research, and the internet was not that helpful in figuring it out.
It probably isn't. It just sounds remarkably similar. If anybody has proof, let us know. I'd love to know.
Yeah, it sounds similar enough that both of us probably spent hours trying to figure out whether it was.
We don't compare notes, so we know the other person has likely made this assertion, but we have to keep it to ourselves just on the off chance that the other person has not, and then we can assert that knowledge dominance over them for making such a wise association.
Yes.
There's a whole pointing structure that you guys aren't privy to, but every episode is in fact a competition with a winner, loser, and sometimes even a tie that is settled through a series of, well,
Slaps.
Tim always alludes to, well, yeah, when it does come down to, I was going to say Dutch shuffle, but yes, at the end of the day, it is a series of slaps.
Yep.
Anyway, enough about running our business. The song appears to be about helping everyone realize that, once again, Ice is back and his new stuff is legit. He says, so I came back like Rocky Balboa. I'll show you how it really goes down. Take it 12 rounds, turn it into a ghost town. Then there is a great deal of attention paid to him stomping through a bayou. And Tim, I ask you, what does stomping around in a bayou have to do with helping everyone to realize that this new shit is legit?
I don't think anything, but also I'm not 100% sure what stomping in a bayou means. That's a channel of water, right?
I think there's a shoreline.
Okay.
You could also work the rim.
Oh, that's true. I always forget about that. Gotta work the rim.
You don't have to. You can avoid the bayou altogether, which would be my recommendation. But if you're going to venture into that swamp, you can either go straight in, but realize if you're going to go right into the heart of the bayou, you're dealing with all sorts of creatures. If you stick to the rim, then in that case, you're cutting down on a lot of your headaches and you can still have a very enjoyable time.
Okay, I will stick to the rim in the future then.
But in this case, I do not understand how stomping through a bayou is going to help everyone to understand why ice is so great.
Agreed.
None of his words help.
Part of it seems like an attempt at something political. I see your schemes, you false prophets. Fuck the American dream. My shit is toxic. Stomping through the bayou, no one can stop this.
Maybe the bayou is a slang term for the United States of America?
It just might be a slang term in general that we are not privy to.
Did he ever move to Louisiana?
I don't think so.
Would you consider Shreveport the bayou?
Shreveport is America's butthole, and I think that...
Well, now you understand where I'm coming from, Tim. Maybe that's the bayou. I mean, obviously I was alluding to it being the bayou.
Oh, I get what you were doing. That's gross, man. You're gross. Talking about buttholes and
bayous.
Sticking on the rim, and I get it, and it's gross. You should be ashamed of yourself for your... You know what? I don't even want to say it. I don't want to subject the gentle ears of our listeners to what you were talking about and what I now realize you were talking about. You owe everyone an apology. I don't think we'll get it.
Are you quite done?
I am, yes, sorry. I hate the vocal effects in this song. I named it Half-Hearted Robot because it seems like they were going for a robot voice and kind of gave up halfway through.
It sounds like somebody doing a robot voice through a megaphone recorded at a distance using a tape recorder.
That sounds right. We get 25 stomps throughout this song.
There's only one song that gets to shout stomp that much. That's Parliament Funkadelic Stomp. I think it is featured in the early 90s movie PCU.
That was not a hit. That's David Spade, is that right?
Spade, Piven, Favreau.
Oh, Piven. That was after he lost his hair, but before he grew new hair, right?
Right. Pre-new hair.
Yes. Vanilla Ice does claim Parliament Funkadelic as an influence on this album. Track number 12, The Horny Song.
Opens pretty creepy, huh?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Just waiting. I'm on to you and your tricks. Yeah, can I read some lyrics? Here I come 48 times in this song. He says, here I come.
What do you think he means
times.
by that?
I mean, I think that he is cleverly creating double entendres throughout this entire song. This song should be titled Double Entendre.
It would be less obvious than the language used in the song.
Yes. See the sweat you're letting off. You know I love when you take it off. Don't you know my cream is good for your health? You're getting really hot. Now I'm gonna spray you. Rub it in like lotion. Juices flowing everywhere like water in the ocean. I see your eyes glistening for the Benjis, but you ain't gotta fake it. I just want you to shake it. All I want to do is hump with it and make you scream and eat you up and floss with your G-string.
Stop.
Just gross, right?
I didn't realize the remark about the Benjis in the middle.
Yeah, it's a song about a prostitute.
That might be the way to go. You want to stay on track, don't start a family, be all business, rise to the top of your industry. Middle to high-end prostitutes are probably a part of that equation.
A couple episodes ago, you made the same argument, and you stuck with just high-end prostitutes. So now you're lowering it. We can do middle to high-end prostitution.
Well, in this instance, I'm talking about somebody who's seeking to rise in their particular industry. So in that case, you may be saving money. So you don't want to go down a tier in your whore.
I mean, even if you are in that situation, you still need somebody to climb your tall coconut tree. You need to spray somebody, and then that somebody needs to rub it in like lotion.
Yeah, no, that's a myth.
You're
I
right.
don't like the use of the word spray.
Mm-hmm.
I keep picturing Ghostbusters 2 when they're spraying the inside of the Statue of Liberty with the goo.
Is that the second one?
How dare you?
I don't remember.
First one's fucking Stay Puffed, you asshole, and the second one is the Statue of Liberty to crack the top of the library so they can break in and save Dana Barrett and her son Oscar.
Jesus Christ. Moving on.
God, I think if you refer to it as your cream, you don't get to have sex with people.
Also, he named it the horny song, right?
Yeah.
You have to hate this album. There's no way to not hate an album. I mean, okay, Garrett, I'm going to get your juices flowing everywhere like water in the ocean. Garrett, do you hate this album?
It's too early to say that, Tim. We still have another song.
Track number 13, Freestyle, featuring Psycho, 2 Hype, and C-Note.
I think you left out a little somebody known as Insane Poetry.
Oh, yes, I apologize to Mr. Insane Poetry.
In this song, everybody who has guested on the rest of the album who was promised their own song is jammed into this song.
Yeah. All the actual rapists featured in the song seem quite talented. Would you like to take us through the worst offense, the most tone-deaf offense of this song and album, probably?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Getting everybody blazed with that funky Don't Stop as I detonate the spot like Oklahoma on your block. Like Timothy McVeigh, but I don't blow up any buildings. Very rarely will I read lyrics without a specific comment about those lyrics. In this case, I merely want to say, what the fuck, dude?
There's lots of references to other musicians and celebrities and characters. West Side Connection, Ice Cube, Mac 10, Mr. Mike, Stevie Wonder, Kobe, Mike Myers, Kojak, Matt Locke, Dr. Spock, Notorious B.I.G., Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, Charles F. Richter, and then a shit ton of gun references for some reason.
Who's Charles F. Richter?
He's the guy that invented the Richter scale, Garrett. The Richter scale.
Well, he's mentioned in here?
Well, the Richter scale.
Oh, right. Yes.
And then the outro might feature, real low in the mix, wolf noises.
Yes.
I don't know if it's howling exactly, but it is the noise of a wolf.
Yes. I confirm your wolf noises.
Okay. And then we get to that ever annoying studio chatter. I don't give a shit what they're talking about between takes.
No. That brings us to the performance. How did this thing do? I'm curious.
It did not chart anywhere.
Wow.
None of the singles charted anywhere.
Ooh.
It's unclear how many copies were sold, although this is apparently a gold album, so 500,000 copies.
Okay. What did people think of it?
Generally, critics did not like it. It was mentioned on the AV Club's least essential albums of the 90s. It was number 24 on Maxim's list of 30 worst albums of all time, and number 26 on Q's list of 50 worst albums ever.
I think that I could find 50 worse albums than this.
Debatable, at best.
How many does Corey Feldman have?
6, 5.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Okay, we'll say 5. 45 to go. Corey Haim has albums. Tim, have you looked at the Corey Haim albums?
I haven't, but I fear we're going to hit a Corey Haim album soon.
Not too soon, because the Corey Feldman one broke me.
Yes. Garrett has shaved his head. He has shaved his beard. He tore his clothing dramatically like some sort of Job character.
Hulk?
Job.
Like Job?
Yeah,
Or
from the
like
Bible. He ripped his clothes. I think that was a Bible thing to show you.
Kill your son and rip your clothes? Or
No, you're thinking of Abraham and he didn't kill his son. God, stop that. Read your goddamn Bible, Garrett.
It is keeping our coffee table even.
That's true. There are 132 Amazon reviews. 3.9 out of 5-star average, 50% 5-star, 12% 1-star. And I'm going to prepare you and our audience with a little trigger warning. The first review gets a tiny bit racist. This is from February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1999, and it's called Pure Magic. As I have said before, the whites, they are the best at everything. I love you, Icy Vanillin. Keep on rocking.
Whoa. No comment.
The next one, this is just entitled Rocks. It's again all in caps. This CD rocks. It goes right up there with Korn, Limp Bizkit, Marilyn Manson, and Metallica. Who are the best? That was a 5-star review. For a bit of a counterpoint here, this is called Vanilla Ice is a Burnout Wannabe. I borrowed this CD from a friend, and when I listened to it, I was disgusted. He's just a Korn, Limp Bizkit wannabe. No one will ever be as good as them. He needs to stop obsessing about himself and get a life. I recommend not buying this CD and go buy Korn. Their music is real and not some deadbeat crap like Vanilla.
Okay.
I have another counterpoint, this time from the band Korn. It's called
From the band Korn?
From the band Korn, Garrett. This is a legitimate review written by the band Korn. And
Okay.
it's called We Were Greatly Surprised. Vanilla Ice is pretty cool. We, Korn, met him in New York a while ago, and he seemed down to earth. We asked him for a copy of his CD, and he obliged. Good stuff. Doesn't sound like us, though. Where do you guys get that from? Better go check him out. You guys will dig it, we promise. P.S. Limp has a copy, too.
Weird. Why does everybody who got stolen from want a copy? And even mentioned it, and I know what you're thinking. What about Limp Bizkit? Have they heard the blatant theft? Yes. And they're super okay with it too for
That's
some
right.
reason. Because no one's going to hear this. And maybe they just are like me, Tim. They just feel bad and they loved Ice Ice Baby.
Also, I'm not 100% sure that's not just somebody claiming to be Korn, but I don't know why. It's got.
Boy, that's so weird.
I think it's actually stranger if it's somebody lying and claiming to be Korn.
I agree.
Okay.
I completely agree. Why would you do that?
Right, like that would be as crazy as us inventing a Geno character and just saying he works here. Who would do that?
Yeah, if we
No
had
one.
an entire staff of make-believe people. Who is this for?
It's for people that like rap, but are also kind of racist, so they would like to get their rap, but not have it delivered by a minority?
Juggalos.
Juggalos do love it.
Yeah, okay, that's the only demographic I can concisely name.
Yes. Also, the bands Korn and Limp Bizkit possibly like this.
Or got paid, maybe, to say that?
Well, if they got
don't
paid
know.
to say it, they probably wouldn't have done it on the sly in a Amazon review.
It's starting to look less and less like that's real. Okay, Tim, that brings us to final thoughts. What have we not said about this?
It's extremely ill-advised. I think it's an attempt to cash in on an already dated and bad from the start trend. It's an attempt to be relevant. It's cannibalizing his early career. Just sucks. This album sucks, Garrett.
If I'm Vanilla Ice and I'm the first successful, truly mega successful white mainstream rapper, and then I see Eminem on the scene about to explode in 1999, and I see the new metal sensations, aren't you thinking to yourself, well, I can do that. The part that people hated about my rapping was that I was white and I was trying to rap like a black guy. Well, now it's cool to rap like a white guy. And I can definitely do that because it's way easier, because it's not as good.
I'm not saying there's not a series of events that could have led him to think this was a good idea. I think it logically makes sense how he arrived at this idea, knowing what we now know. That doesn't make it better.
What I don't understand is how come Limp Bizkit sells what it sells and Vanilla Ice sells what he sells?
Well, I think that a good portion of that is people being sick of him. I'm not saying that this is that much worse than Korn or Limp Bizkit. I mean, it is. It is worse than those things. But
Yeah, but that much worse?
those albums sold like 3-4 million copies. This is not 3.5 million copies worse than either of those albums.
All right, that brings us to the final question. Tim, do you hate this?
Yes, I do. What about you? Do you hate this? Okay, hold on. Before you answer, don't you know that my cream is good for your health? You're getting real hot, and I'm going to spray you. Rub it in like lotion. Juice is flowing everywhere, like water in the ocean. Climbing up this tall coconut tree. All I want to do is hump with it and make you scream and eat you up as I floss with your G-string. Garrett, do you hate this album?
Yes, I do.
Yes! Gotcha there.
Yeah, you did. Well done, sir.
All right.
Sorry, Mr. Ice. Wow. Okay, well, that brings us to the part of the show where we beg, plead, and swear. Would you rate, review, subscribe? Have you? If you did, thank you. If you didn't, what are you waiting on? Get out there. Get on the old iTunes. Hit the 5 stars. If you don't know what to say, there's so many options. Tim, you want to hit him with some options?
Timcell is a new one. Don't really care for that.
A little take on Incel, Timcell, Tim the Incel,
yeah.
Timcell, like it.
Yeah.
Tim's a sorrow sucker, soul sucker.
Vanilla Tim, you could use.
Vanilla
That
Tim.
one references both my hatred for this album, my hatred for being associated with this guy, and also my embarrassing whiteness.
Or it could be your rapping name. Am I ambiguous?
Am I ambiguous? Sure, there's What a Tim Wants from the Christina Aguilera album. There's Tim in a Bottle.
Tim's arms wide open.
It's a lot of good ones.
Point being, guys, is you don't have to put anything thoughtful. If you do, we love it. Just throw something in there and we read them. It makes us laugh, and it most importantly helps us in the rankings. Then more people see the show and they download it, and this whole crazy train continues. If you want to reach out to us, you can go to hatepod.com, click on contact us in the upper left hand corner, and that will take you directly to our email. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just email us at hatepodmail@gmail.com. We will respond either way. We love your stories, we love your anecdotes, we love your requests, we love your questions. Send them all in. We will respond. Mailbag episodes, we're loading back up. We've had a ton. I think we've already had twice as many as we did from the time when we started to the first mailbag. So we've got plenty. So keep them coming. We love them. Instagram at hatepod. Twitter at album hatepod. We're on YouTube. We don't have a custom YouTube. Just search for Why I Hate This Album. Hatepod.com. You can get every episode on any platform you could ever want linked from there. Folks, we haven't heard it yet, but we are confident there is a podcast out there called the Podcasts Podcast where they review similar types of podcasts. I believe they pick 3 different shows, they listen to them, they compare them, and they rank a winner. We have been selected, I believe, as part of the, Tim, the music review podcast?
Yep.
And we don't know the other 2. We haven't heard it. We could lose. We could be mocked mercilessly. Can't imagine that feels good. We don't know. So check it out. It will have come out by the time you hear this. So we will see if we were victorious, if we were mocked to the point where Tim and I have entered some sort of terrible shame hole. Till then, this has been another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I've been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson.
Riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.